Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Slimefun. That's right, today is a 2-for-1. I've actually had a few free moments and I decided after talking to some of the players on the grid, we're going to put out the episode that people have been asking for. Probably 30 or 40 requests I've gotten for this, and I wanted to wait till I was a little bit further in the series so it made logical sense based on where you would be in Slimefun. But I think the majority of the grid is finally getting a hang of this thing, and they really want to know how to do it. And so we're going to talk about automating everything from carbon to compressed carbon, carbon chunks, although we don't use a whole lot of those, synthetic diamonds, and you got it, Carbonados, baby. Just to give you an example, here's my system right here, right behind me. I'm going to run up and down the line. Now, could this be compressed? Absolutely. Could this be much shorter of a line? Absolutely. But it wouldn't be a boomer line if it wasn't a little bit too big and too much sometimes. This really can be simplified a little bit more, but not a whole lot actually. But we're going to go into my live setup. We're not going to do a stage thing. I'm not going to walk you through the principles of it. I'm going to tell you how to do it. So this episode is a huge. I'm giving away all my secrets. All right. Just a couple of things that you need to know ahead of time. I have mass resources, okay? Meaning I have currently 64 wither skeletons spawners that are running right now as we speak in the background. I have 3 massive tree farms making charcoal for me. And I'm going to be dropping another 64 wither skeleton farms in. Just to give you an idea, on an average day, if I keep this chunk that I'm standing in right now loaded, an average day, I'm probably producing 5 to 6 stacks of Carbonados. And that's not even with the second 64 spawners going in. I don't know how often I'm going to be able to run that. I'm going to need help with my kids, obviously, if they're willing to sit there and do absolutely nothing. Maybe they'll do it for me while they're doing their schoolwork or something, but generally, I can talk one of them into helping, but getting both is pretty tough because they both have other things they like to do on the server, as well as, on the computers, and sometimes they're just resources that drags them down. So let's dig right in. So I'm not going to show you my source. You know what, for the most part, spawners look like. You know what grinders can look like. If you've been to my Hourglass, so if you're on the server, or if you've never been here, I'll tell you what, if you've never been here, the server's IP is play.fanaticmc.com. Come on a SkyGrid. Tell me you saw my video, you want to take a look at the Hourglass. If I'm on, I'll be happy to take you there. If not, simply go to Warp Hourglass. That was the first one I built. I'm almost done with the third, and each one carries a set of 64 spawners. Now, would it have been much easier to build 128 or 144 or 160 or some mass amount of spawners in one farm? Of course it would have been. But it wouldn't be Boomer anymore because Boomer said, I'm done with the factories. I'm making crap that looks awesome. Okay? And I am so proud of this Hourglass. By far, it is the biggest, and I'm not going to say the biggest, the second biggest thing I've ever built because my base is actually bigger. But as far as scale and size and sheer awesomeness, I don't want to toot my own horn. That's not what I'm trying to do, but I love it. I think it's phenomenal, and I've gotten amazing feedback from you on the server. And so go to Warp Hourglass. You'll see what my grinders look like. And if you're not impressed with it, sorry. I love them. I think they're great. So anyways, I'm just about done with the third one. I just have 3 more posts to put up. Insert the spawners, put in the network sorting systems, and we'll be running 128 wither skeleton spawners. So here's what happens. All that coal gets shuffled through teleporting hoppers to a spot almost directly below right where we're standing. And then those hoppers also bring it up here. Coal comes into this chest. You can see it coming in. It's kind of trickling in right now. Yeah, I think what my kid needs to do is go to spawn and back. When I built the Hourglass, I thought I did the math perfectly so that the center spot would have a 22 block gap. It only has a 20 block gap. So every once in a while when a wither skeleton falls and he spawns 4 blocks away on a diagonal access, occasionally he falls a 5th. and lands on a block. And the server has an I'm going to call it an anti-TPS thing to keep mobs from spawning when too many hit a certain amount in the chunk. And every so often, he's got to warp out of there and come back to remove those excess mobs or go down and kill them. But on an average minute, I probably see somewhere in the neighborhood of 75 to 90 coal coming in. Plus, the tree farms also kick up charcoal. And actually, that gets kicked up at a lot faster rate. You can see that probably gets me 4 to 6 times the amount. It takes 4 charcoal to get 1 coal. So here's what we do. This is the real live network setup. So like I said, you guys are going to see everything, okay? So coming out of the charcoal, right, we have it going on channel 1 into a carbon press. I believe it's this one. No, that's the coal. Carbon. Oops, sorry, that's the wrong side. Silly me. Orange are output, blue are input. Okay, charcoal comes into the carbon press. 4 charcoal equal 1 coal. So those 4 coals or charcoals get turned into coal, and they're going to come out on this side. Then they go up to another press, and actually have 3 coal running and 2 charcoal running right now. The coal then turn these into carbons. So it takes 8 coal to make 1 carbon, or 32 charcoal to make 1 carbon. Then we have 1 more press in here. I think it is this one. Nope, back up. It's the one in the middle. It's here somewhere. Upper left. Where is it? Upper right. Lower right. Okay, why am I not? Am I applying? There we go. It was the bottom left. So now we have carbon. Okay. I have 2 ways I do this. So I have all the other storage facilities on this turned off right now. I'm only making carbonados. If I were to make carbon, compressed carbon, synthetic diamonds, and carbonados, I wouldn't be getting 6 stacks of carbonados a day. I'd probably get 1 carbonado, 2 diamond, probably 1,000 compressed carbon, and about 9,000 carbon a day. So half of it goes here to become carbon. The other half, when it's set up, goes in here, but I have it pulled out so carbon doesn't go in there. Because what I want to do then is have the carbon come out, work its way down here to the crafting table. But to get to that point, it's got to become compressed first. So we have 1. Oh, where is it now? It's the bottom left, right? Yeah, so carbons come in here, and they're going to get turned into compressed carbon. Let's see if we can get to see it real quick. 4 carbon will give you 1 compressed carbon. So, and you briefly saw it flash on the screen. So it takes 32 coal or 128 charcoal to get 1 compressed carbon. Now, that works its way down here to where it can either go into this barrel, and I split it with this automated crafting table. 8 compressed carbon with a flint gives you 1 carbon chunk. Okay, are you understanding just how much coal so far this takes? So it takes 4 carbon to make 1 chunk. It takes 32 coal. It takes 128 charcoal, right? Because it takes 4 charcoal to make 1 coal. It takes 8 coal to make 1 carbon, or in other words, 32 charcoal. It takes 4 carbon to make 1 chunk, or 32 coal, or 128 charcoal. It takes 8 chunks, 8 compressed carbon to make 1 carbon chunk. So now we're at 256 coal or 1,024 charcoal just to get 1 carbon chunk. That carbon chunk then can either be sent into this carbon press or it comes into the smelter. All right, carbon chunk. To make synthetic diamonds, you have to have a carbon chunk. I'll pull one out here real quick because I need it anyway. Actually, just pull out a couple just so you can watch this work. All right, so now to get synthetic diamonds, carbon presses have to take these chunks and then turn them into a synthetic diamond. It's got to be compressed down again. All right, here's what happens now. From here, I can have half of it go back to the smelter in the form of a synthetic diamond, which it's doing, and then that will make me a raw carbonado, which makes a carbonado, or I can store it as a synthetic diamond. I currently have this off again. As like I said, I'm running this whole farm just to get me 2 full chests of Carbonados, and then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go 2 chests of synthetic diamonds, and then I'm going to go, I don't know, this holds 32,000 carbon chunks, compressed carbon. This will hold 1 million carbon. So when I hit that, will I shut the farm off? We'll see. Boomer doesn't like to shut off his farms too often. All right. So when this creates carbon chunks, it does go to 2 places. It goes to this carbon press, and it must go to the smeltery, because it takes a synthetic diamond and a carbon chunk and a pane of glass to make raw Carbonado. So it has to split between the 2. Here's what ends up happening. It's about 60% of what gets made is carbon chunk and a 40% of it is synthetic diamond. So quite frequently I end up taking this, cutting it in half, sending the chunk over, and I end up doing this again. I'll take half, send the chunk over. Half of that will become synthetic diamonds. Half of that will become Carbonados when the full farm is running. Right now those will all become synthetic diamonds because I have it turned off here. I'll have extra synthetic diamonds here, which is fine because more carbon chunks are coming in. So the panes automatically get loaded out of that barrel. For the carbon chunks, gets automatically pulled from this barrel with the flint. So that's automated. So all I have to do is periodically is reload a couple, shulkers worth in here, and it runs for quite a few days. So once it gets to this point, it's going to create a raw Carbonado, which then comes to the carbon press, and it's going to give me a full Carbonado, which gets stored here. Just so you know, I started the other episode, the previous episode number 9, probably an hour ago. There were none in here. That's how fast I got the farm going. Now granted, I had a lot of chunks in there. You did see them sitting there. So I sped that part of the game up a little bit. So it's a little misleading. But I still want you to know it can be done. Man, I hope you got all this. So everybody on the server, or if you're not part of the server again, but you are playing with Slimefun, there's 2 ways to get a lot of coal. 1 is to use wither skeleton spawners, right? 2 is to use the minions. If you have minions on your server, if you don't, okay, well then you're stuck with the spawners and mining coal and hitting with the highest possible fortune you've got. In Slimefun, it's fortune 10. So you can still make an insane amount of coal from mining coal in the server. Whether you're on a sky grid or you're on a survival base, granted survival, you'll get a whole lot more. But it's doable. It's all automatable. This is my real life farm. So you say, well, why does it say empty up there? 164 of them are hitting there, then you'll see the excess. It carries 1 stack. You can kind of call that like if you were to open up your fridge to get to your freezer. That would be what would be in a fridge, and the storage area would be in your freezer. Or your inner walk-in closet versus your outer walk-in closet if you have 2 walk-in closets. I don't even have a closet, so I live out of a dresser drawer. Anyways, I hope, guys, that made sense. This is one secret that I've been waiting to pull off. I didn't want to get into it this quick, but you know what? People were asking for it. So again, for the second time today, I do want to say thank you. And before you leave, please, I want to just say one thing. I am really still blown away by, even though it's only 80 subs, we have 80 subs. And you guys are awesome, and I appreciate each and every one of you taking the time to watch. So here's my challenge to you guys. What can I do to help us drive this thing over 100 subs by the end of May? I want to be at 100 subs by the end of May. What can I do to make these episodes better? Is it frequency? Is there something in a video I can do? What would you think would make it more enjoyable? Granted, I understand. There aren't a lot of people that play SkyGrid. There aren't a lot of people with Slimefun on the server. Slimefun is a 4 or 5 year old pack. Okay? So for me to get 100 on the channel would be phenomenal because, like I said, there aren't a whole lot of people. But the survival aspect that I play with the other part of the Slimefun, I'm hoping that draws people in, and I'm hoping you guys appreciate the builds and what it's taken to get in the game this far. So I do want to hear your feedback. I don't just say that just to say it. I really, honestly, sincerely, what can I do to make this channel better for you? Punch that button for me, guys, and I thank you. And again, as always, we say, you gotta go Boomer or you gotta go home.